defense has changed. In patch 3.25, no longer do you need grace or determination in order to be Omega tanky in Path of Exile. There is actually some other ways to actually get really tanky. Let's take a look at my current build, which we're playing, which is a string stacker. I do not run determination or grace in this build. Instead, we rely on these defensive layers to become super tanky. 7 endurance charges, flesh and stone and sand stance, arctic armor, fortify, strength of blood, instant leech, and immortal call. Now these are some very powerful defensive layers in the build that allows us to skip out on determination and grace. Let's get into the details. And let's get into the details here. No longer do we need determination or grace to get absolutely bonkers tanky in this game. This is really cool because I discovered this when I tried the new runic enchantment with the instant leech for maces, and this enchantment is actually super powerful and probably one of my favorite enchantments in terms of builds because I like tanky builds. So it allows us to utilize strength of blood, which is really cool, guys, because in your main hand it leeches, your offhand it does non-instant leech. And the cool thing about this is we use this with volcanic fissure of snaking because each hit sends out 3 fissures, which is 3 shockwaves. The offhand throws out 3 fissures, 3 shockwaves. So you're always constantly doing instant leech and non-instant leech. And the cool thing about it is we do use a lot of less damage taking avenues as well. So this is additional flat damage reduction across the board, paired with endurance charges and of course petrified blood, progenesis, and arctic armor. Now with progenesis and your petrified blood, you'll always be leeching and the damage turns into a dot. So the more you lower the max hit, how much damage you take from each hit, the more powerful, the more tanky you become because you're leeching instantly on every main hand hit. And of course your offhand is always doing the non-instant with strength of blood. So that is how I'm able to stand in an ultimatum, regardless of the mods outside of Ruin. I can just stand there, have 10 corrupted blood, I can have all these degens on me, it doesn't matter because I have life regen and instant leech. Because we are using the runic enchantment. So instead of using Vol Pact and losing out all of your life recovery, with this runic enchantment you can maintain life regen and life recovery from untiring. And this is just absolutely bonkers in terms of defensives because we no longer have to rely on just having a bunch of armor to mitigate a lot of damage, especially physical damage. A lot of times physical damage is usually what kills you. So with this setup, we have become absolutely insanely tanky. I can run T17 maps, simulacrums, I can just sit in ultimatums, rituals, we can do uber bosses, and yeah, it's just like a really cool avenue of defenses without having to use armor. And I think that's really cool because in the past we've always had to have determination. You always had to have either determination or grace, have your armor flask. Yeah, they'll have like 60, 100,000 armor to have like 30, 40,000 max hit or less. It was just a lot of mandatory things. Now with this setup, people can still use determination and grace and do armor stacking and stuff like that, but I have found a way to play without needing those things, and I think that's really cool. And that's why one of my favorite runic enchantments is the instant leech, because the leech itself and the life regen, and it's just really powerful, guys. Like I leveled from 98 to 100 and I just never died. It's so fun playing this build because the only time I can die in this build is if I'm just standing in like an uber fight and just getting hit without leashing and just sitting there not doing anything and just taking hits because I don't have all resistances maxed out yet. But once we do get a mage blood, I'll be able to just sit in ubers, a lot of uber fights. So we are working on getting a mage blood because that's going to take us to the next level, and a few more things like Balakos. But yeah, this is the gist of the build, guys. This is a really cool build, and I know you guys, if you've been playing my string stacker build, you've probably already been utilizing this, but this is my latest update to the defenses of the build. We did change to a rare chest. That was the latest change that I made, was the rare chest, and also added in the progenesis. And we'll keep updating you guys on this build. We're still playing this build, and I'm just having a blast with this build. It's so easy to farm with this build. Like, mapping is insanely fun. When I get a Mage Blood, this is gonna be like, I'll be able to zoom on the maps. I'll be able to use a movement flask. Ubers will be even more easier because I'll have maxed out resistances. And yeah, we just got to get that Mage Blood. That's like the next thing that we're working on here. But there you have it, guys. This is a incredibly new way to play the game. You know, when I first started, I was like, determination is nerfed. You know, is it going to be good enough? Are we going to be tanky still? How are we going to get tanky? Of course, I had to figure out how to get tanky, guys. And remember to go ahead and slam the like and subscribe button if you're just now finding out about this. If you like videos like this, you know, I am a tanky player. I like tanky builds because I don't like to die, and that's pretty much the gist of it. And so a lot of times when you find my builds, they'll be super tanky, and I think it's really fun to try to get super tanky in Path of Exile. It's just like something I like to do, and I like tankiness, fast builds, and huge AoE kind of builds. And of course, cast while stunned used to be my favorite build, but this is now my new favorite build. And yeah, we'll keep working on this build, and I'll provide updates on the build as we go. Once we get a Mage Blood, I'll show a new tree to support that. Of course, POB will be in the description, and let me know what you guys think about this new defensive way to play in Path of Exile. Do you enjoy not having to use Determination and Grace? If you're already using this, do you plan on switching over? Let me know in the comments. And until next time, I think that's all, Exiles. And peace out.